Kailey Wood, one of our super VIP patients, here with us today to go over her experience using GLP-1s and her history of weight struggles and everything with her experience with doctors in general. Welcome, Kailey.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you have quite the personality on TikTok. I love it. So we'll get into some of that, but I kind of wanted to get into like what your whole story is. Like, when did you start struggling with weight? Why did you reach out for help and that type of thing? So why don't you start there?
Yeah, it wasn't actually until my late 20s, early 30s. I had my kids, and I noticed that I started gaining weight in places that I've never really gained weight before. And I have a history of PCOS. I have a history of Hashimoto's. And so I knew that losing weight was always harder for me, but I was always pretty happy in my body. I never really noticed anything that health-wise that would concern me until I was about 30. I went to the doctor, I had my normal checkup, and since I was a teenager, I had high cholesterol, and those were just things that they watched for a long time. But then they noticed that my cholesterol went up, my triglycerides went up, they did an ultrasound on my liver, I had fatty liver disease, I had joint pain, I had headaches, I had fatigue, and I had all these ailments that I kept blaming. I was like, there's got to be a root cause to this. There has to be something else going on. And I kept gaining weight. And again, I have insulin-resistant PCOS, and I knew that probably was the root cause, but my doctors weren't really interested in digging deeper and finding out why, but I just knew I had to lose weight. So when I was about 30, 31, I started doing keto, pretty strict, and I got a personal trainer 5 days a week. And I lost 18 pounds in a couple months. But as soon as I stopped doing that intense dieting and introduced anything back into my system that I didn't have before, bread, pasta, God forbid, I started getting...
God forbid the pasta.
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
Devilish pasta.
There's one thing about me, I will not work out on my own. I need someone to be there to tell me what to do, to motivate me, to hold me accountable. And that's just something about me that I know. And so when COVID hit, I kind of stopped. I would go on walks with my kids, but again, that intense workout wasn't there. And that I really started packing on the pounds. I got up to 200, I think 205 was my highest weight, and I'm 5'4". I have a pretty petite frame. So in 2021, maybe early 22, I heard about one of the GLP-1s, and I reached out to my doctor shortly after one of my physicals, and I said, I've been researching these medications. Is this something you'd be interested in prescribing? And at that time, they said no. I went back to them last summer, the summer of 22, and again asked, would this be something you'd be interested? And they didn't say no, but they said, first you have to do this. And I said, well, look at my chart. I've been doing these.
What do they want you to do? First, diet and like exercise or something?
Diet, exercise. They wanted me to see an endocrinologist who I've seen since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to see a nutritionist and keep a food journal. And I'm sorry. I'm not a child. Like, I've been trying on my own. I don't know why I have to prove myself to you. So at that point I said, screw this. And so I went online, and here we are. I found Sequence.
Yeah. How'd you find us?
Through TikTok. Well, I actually followed you on Instagram for a while. And then, through TikTok.
It was the memes. It was the memes that got you.
Yeah.
and then a stupid reel probably that I made of some sort. That's okay. So going back to your childhood, you said you started gaining weight in certain places. Where was it?
Oh my gosh. So this wasn't my childhood, but this was.
Yeah, this was after kids. Yeah. Okay.
I've always been very petite on the top. My stomach has always been I've had a very small waist, and I always carried in my lower body more. Oh, I started gaining weight in my hips, in my stomach, in my face, areas that I've never gained weight before. And again, I felt pretty good in my skin until I started noticing the health effects that were coming on too. That made me really nervous.
Yeah. So, but when you're a kid though, is that when they noticed triglycerides elevating, or is that later in life then?
Yeah. I want to say when I was 15, 16, they
Interesting.
started noticing it, and they said it was genetic.
And were your periods off back then?
Not really. My periods were off a little bit in my later teen years.
Okay.
They put me on birth control.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Okay. And then, so then after first or second kid, or do you have, how many kids? Do you have one
kids.
kid? Two kids? It was after which kid? Both?
Well, I had them really close together, so.
Oh, wow.
After my second, yeah.
You brave soul.
Yeah.
After your second kid, that's when you notice. Okay. I make little memes and reels and tweets about this, and the most common thing I hear is like, what caused your weight gain? Kids is always like kids, and then something else. But kids, the pandemic is something. And then, there are a lot of people that when we have them on the podcast, they say, I've struggled my whole life, but you're in the camp that it mostly happened later in life. But it sounds like earlier in life, you may have had some of those signals of insulin resistance. And yes, a lot of this is genetic. And for anybody listening, where you store your weight and adipose fat is actually, it's mostly genetic. Like someone else could just eat a lot and continue to try to gain weight, and because of their genetics, they'll, what we call like nutrient partitioning, they'll put it in other places that may not be so harmful. When you start adding it more around the midsection, that's when we start seeing more of these kind of metabolic disturbances. So it's kind of interesting you mentioned that. So you went to your PCP. This is kind of the standard thing. When I was in the clinic, not in the cloud like we are now, but I would hear through the walls, like my colleagues seeing one of my patients because I was booked or something, and they would be like, yeah, could I have a refill of whatever obesity medicine I was giving to the patient? And because they were supposed to come see me and I was going to give them the refill, but I was booked, so they had to see someone else. And I could hear them going, you don't need this medicine. You need to eat chicken breast and spinach. And I was like, I'm sitting there in the middle and I can hear it through the wall, and I'm sitting there in the middle trying to talk to another patient, and I was about to like lose my mind. Mm-hmm. So like for you to go through that, it's a lot of people, it's unfortunate. Is this the same PCP you've had for a while, or?
Yeah, it is. And it is unfortunate because, and I know it's for both men and women, but as a woman, I feel like a lot of times our concerns just get brushed to the side, and we just get labeled as lazy, or they just want a quick fix, or whatever it may be. And so it makes you afraid to go to the doctor and advocate for yourself, and embarrassed. Yeah,
that it is frustrating. So we don't want to, trash PCPs. I technically started as one, and my thought was that PCPs should be the ones that are the obesity leaders, but it's really hard to change paradigms. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry you went through that. And ideally, we would have good PCPs that would work with us, because then we can be the obesity specialist or whatever. But what we don't want is what you went through, is where you don't even want to go in and see them anymore, because you just don't even want to hear it. You don't want to get on the scale, have them go, despite having lost however many pounds and dropping your BMI and all this, the calculation will pop up. They may not look back in the chart and then go like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight. What are you doing? And whatever. They might just knee-jerk reaction say, you're overweight. You still need to lose weight or something. I don't know. Tell your stories. What happened with you?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. One second. Hold on. Sorry if you see my laundry guy.
No, it's totally fine. You should see my laundry pile. I
thought my computer was plugged in, but I guess not. Okay. So, I haven't been to my primary care physician since last year, since I asked for the medication. Other than my PCOS, I'm relatively healthy, so I don't need to go to the doctor often. And I was really looking forward to going to my annual physical. I was proud of the fact that I lost 65 pounds. I kind of wanted to go in there and have them ask me, like, how did you do this? And I wanted the opportunity to, to educate them, to say, this is how I did it, this is how I got it, and this is how it works, and I'm so grateful for it. And it couldn't have been a more disappointing experience for me. I went in, and the CNA or the MA rooming me, put me on the scale, and then she took me back to the room, and that's when she looked at my chart, and she's like, "What did the scale say when you stepped on it?" And I said, "I think it was like 141." And she goes, "Okay, that's what I wrote down, but your weight here says 202. And I said, "Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight." And she said, "How did you do that?" And I said, I've been taking a GLP. And she goes, "Oh, the diabetes medication?"
Oh, come on.
I was so frustrated.
Infuriating.
So I just said, "Yeah, but it's indicated for other things." And I was taking metformin for years, and nobody said anything about that.
Nobody bats an eye.
And so I didn't really engage much after that. And then the physician came in, and I was really excited because she's the one that kind of was tossing it around if I did the things that she wanted me to do. And it was pretty much the same thing. She didn't seem too pleased that I was on it. I went to the ER a couple weeks ago. I had a bout of hypoglycemia, and that was on me. I wasn't eating. We've talked about this before. I have a TikTok on it. But the report was sent to her office, and she must have read that report right before I went into the room. And she gave me this whole spiel on, you take a diabetes medication, those are the side effects you're going to get. And I started to kind of argue with her, and I'm actually probably breaking out right now because I just I'm Irish. But I was like so frustrated because I said, well, if my blood sugar isn't uncontrolled, I don't believe that it's going to make my blood sugar drop. That's my perception of how this medication works.
Yeah.
I said it was on me. I didn't eat for like 15 hours. Of course, I'm going to get hypoglycemia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, she started going back and forth with me. And at that point, I just wanted to get out of there. And at the end of the appointment, after kind of like making me feel terrible, she goes, "Well, I just want to take a minute and no. First, she goes, "Well, technically you're still borderline overweight." I think she said obese, but I think she meant to say overweight. And I looked at her and I said, "Seriously, after losing 65 pounds, I'm 5'4", I'm 140-ish pounds. I actually would prefer to be like 150, 160, have a little bit more curves in my body." I said, "I actually think I'm too small for my size, and I can't believe we're still relying on BMI. Like, I can't believe we're relying on BMI. I'm a healthy, middle-aged woman. What else could you want?" So at the end of the appointment, after ridiculing me, making me feel like total crap, she goes, "Well, I just have to tell you, and let's just celebrate that I'm going to remove obesity off of your active problems, and let's resolve that." And I was like, let's call up Dr. Spencer right now and thank him.
You're like, thanks a lot. That's a I mean, what you described though, I bet there's people listening going, "Oh my gosh, I had very similar experiences." First, I mean, like, it shows that the training, we're just super far behind in the training for obesity in medical school, and then the training after, which is called residency, and then even just post residency continuing medical education. It's just it's too bad, and we're kind of, I'm in a bubble. I'm surrounded by other really good obesity researchers and physicians, to where it's like, oh yeah, of course everybody knows, but it's like, no, it's my little bubble that knows. And in fact, the reality is that most people still have that stigma, and I hate to say it's physicians, but even endocrinologists, even primary care physicians, whether it's internists, family doctors, or even OBGYNs, there's just a lot of stigma. And I don't want to blame and shame them. It's just it's ignorance, I guess, is what you would call it.
Yeah.
And like even the myth of like, you're taking diabetes medicines, it's like that is so frustrating. It's like, no, it has this indication. Like, what are you talking about? These medicines are probably the most, they're going to become, I mean, the future is just ridiculous. I mean, I've been to some of these conferences. I'm talking with friends with the trialists who are using the newer ones that are hopefully doctors are going to be on understand these things soon, because like the future's coming whether they like it or not.
Yeah, I can't tell you the things that I've noticed. So I actually haven't taken an injection in a couple weeks, just because I'm moving down to the lowest dose, and I decided just to spread it out a little bit longer.
Nice.
My physician, of course. But you know what is really interesting is this: as a woman, as somebody who gets a menstrual cycle, as somebody who has PCOS, who's never really, I've had regular periods here and there, but
Yeah.
I've had very heavy periods. Let me tell you something that is amazing. In the 7 months that I've taken Mounjaro, or a GLP, in the 7 months that I've taken a GLP, there are things that I'm noticing that are happening now that haven't happened, but since I've been off of it for about a month, I have cramps again. I haven't had any menstrual cramps in 7 months.
That is really interesting.
Not a single one. If I didn't get the actual act of, getting my period, I wouldn't even know it was coming. I don't have cramps. I don't have bloating. I don't have migraines the way that I used to have migraines. I don't have gas. It's aside from the weight loss, the way that it helps every other aspect of your life is incredible. And I would love to see studies in 5 years to see how this helps.
Okay, so you're on the lowest dose now. How high did you get to the mid or highest dose?
No, I
just
got to
mid.
I lost majority of my weight. I'm 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so you're kind of what we call hyper, I'd say, well, I don't know. Let's see. So 60, I have to do the calculations in my head. What percentage was it? 200, so 60% of that. I mean, you're close to like 25.
I think it was
25.
like 30%.
Yeah, 25 to 30%. That's incredible, because when you look at the 5 milligram dose, it's more along the lines of 50. So you pretty much doubled the expectation. So you're a hyper responder, which is amazing to hear.
Guys.
Look at that. Let's just give it up for Kailey. Hyper responder Kailey. Great to hear. Now, okay. I have a hypothesis, and because you gained weight later in life, I have a hypothesis that you're going to be one of those that I don't know if you'll be able to completely come off and completely keep the weight off, but I think you are somebody that will have a shot at doing that more than those who struggled most of their life. And it has to do with the genetics and appetite dysregulation. This doesn't mean that you didn't have appetite dysregulation before. It means that maybe you could resolve it because you may not have that genetic propensity. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I think we're gonna pioneer some of these studies now that we have a lot of resources. But what is your appetite like now?
I mean, now that my appetite that I haven't taken it in a couple weeks has definitely increased, but I'm not eating until I'm uncomfortably full. I'm able to have a couple bites of something. I definitely have more cravings, but again, it's not uncontrollable.
Okay.
And I definitely agree with you. And I've said that from the beginning. I'm not somebody who has struggled with my weight my whole life. Genetically, I'm in a different spot than some people. And I would like to get off of it and see if I could maintain on my own within like a 10-15 range. I don't want to think I'm going to stay at the same range forever. So yeah, I'll pioneer that with you. Let's study.
I'm so interested because like this is the talk of the town. Everybody's like, these are chronic medicines, which they are. They can be used chronically. Everybody's going to have to take them. Well, I would say everybody can take them indefinitely, but does everybody have to? And I think a lot of people will have to, but I don't think everybody will have to. So it's just an interest. So I'm all right. We're gonna have to exchange numbers and just text and be text buddies.
Send you the scale every day.
Yeah, I'll be I mean, I can always jump into your chart and check, but with permission, of course. But no, that's actually really interesting. Okay, so lowest dose, and you're spreading it out. You like what, 10 days or what is it?
Yeah, I've been taking the injection only twice a month since the end of November.
Twice a month?
Every 2 weeks.
Incredible.
Every 2
Incredible.
Saturdays.
And you've even doing that, you've maintained.
I've lost.
And you
like,
continue
till,
to. Amazing.
and
That's
I
really
eat
cool to
a
hear.
lot. I mean, I eat a lot. Like, I don't
Yeah.
eat a little bit of food.
How has your nutrition changed since using the medicine? Like what are the biggest things you've noticed?
When I first started it, I had an aversion to a lot of things. Things
Yeah.
that I would use, that I used to eat coffee. I haven't had coffee in several
Coffee?
months. I drink energy drinks. Instead, I can't drink coffee. But I definitely, I wanted to eat healthier, so I ate a lot of salads, which are things that I liked before, but I wouldn't like take the time to make them.
Yeah.
So like nice hearty salads. Meat, I just eat a lot of like just meat in general. Like,
Yeah.
I love eating like steak and chicken. I had no cravings for like sweets and stuff. I really didn't eat any for the first 5 months. Now I definitely can tolerate eating some things that I didn't before. Even like bread, I wasn't really eating for a while. But now I'm definitely introducing it into my diet, especially with the consideration of potentially getting off one day. I want to create that, like, I don't want to be scared of a food, and I
Yeah,
want to know
good.
that I can eat it and like,
That's great.
yeah.
I like to hear that because people make these food rules up, and sometimes it can help people. Other people, it can create a really poor relationship with food, meaning like, oh my God, I can't have it. You put the food on a pedestal, and it makes you kind of want it more, and then it causes more stress around the food where if you just, I can have it. I know how to portion it. I'm going to enjoy the food when I eat it, but I know that maybe eating more would have more energy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the medicine helped with your relationship with food or no?
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I did keto, I don't know, for 5 years.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of unlearning those just things that you have in your head about what you can eat, low sugar. Ugh, it really messes with you. And it works for some people, and it worked for
Yeah.
me. It did.
Yeah.
But I also want to be able to have like a burger not wrapped in a lettuce.
I know.
leaf.
God, lettuce wrapped burgers. It's like, come
I know.
on.
And they're good
I know.
sometimes, but sometimes
Yeah. You can make it all right. It's just, but nothing will be as good as with a bun and a few French fries on the side.
Yep.
But yeah, with the GLP-1 agonist, I suppose maybe just like, I don't know. Can you eat a full burger now?
No.
No, it's hard. Huh?
Yeah.
Would it, if you tried, would it make you not feel very well?
I would get sick for sure.
Have you met with our dietitians yet?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, probably like 3 or 4 months in we met. And then I actually have to make an appointment now that I'm getting to a lower dose. And I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm on target for what I should be doing for like protein and stuff.
Perfect. Yeah. So so this is what I was doing. Now that we have been acquired by Weight Watchers, people are like, all right, are you going to force everybody to do points? It's like, no, for the love of God, we're not going to force people to do points. I'm working with their very smart research team, and people don't know. They think of Weight Watchers as this old diet culture type of company, but they've in the past whatever it's been decade they've formed the scientific advisory board, and these are some of the highest level scientists when it comes to nutrition and obesity. Nobody really knows because they're not popular on social media.
Right.
But like these are people that I have learned from, and so I'm here on the board meeting now for the scientific stuff, and we're trying to figure out. We're going to research how to, like, what's the best nutrition plan for those on these medicines, maybe on the generic non-GLP-1 medicines too, because I think we're going to find some people do well. Maybe they need tracking. Some people maybe no tracking. Some people something else. So have you been focusing on protein? You say you like the meat.
Yeah, I have. Sorry, I have a special guest, guys.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I haven't been tracking anything because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. But now I'm at the point, listen, I know people have their feelings about 1990s Weight Watchers and points and diet culture.
Yeah.
I know a couple people who it's really worked well for, and I've actually considered, now that I'm in maintenance mode, using something like that, for the fact that it doesn't make me think too much. I'm not going to
Yeah.
have to, if I have to think and figure things out on my own, it overwhelms me and I just
Hmm.
give up. That's just how my brain works. So I would actually prefer a program with points to tell me what I'm allotted for a day. Now, do I want to go to a room and weigh in and stand in front of a bunch of people? No, but
Yeah. Yeah. No.
they're changing with the times, and I've considered it even before the partnership. It was something that I thought I could probably utilize to my
That's
advantage.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, there's some really cool things in the pipeline, things that I've done in my own like little fat loss programs that I've done before sequence, but like really simplifying. Like some people, when they get on a GLP-1 agonist, we do kind of this my plate method because like calorie tracking becomes a thing of the past because your own satiety basically limits you, and you don't have to count. You don't have to have an external thing telling you. So you just kind of go towards these types of foods and just eat to like 80% full, and then you'll be satiated type of thing. But it's possible that some people, maybe the medicines don't work as well, and there's some satiety benefit, but they need a little bit more direction. And then you can have points. And then there's kind of this in between thing where it's like kind of like the my plate, but you still have portions of certain foods. It's kind of an interesting hybrid approach. So we're going to explore all these different things. I think, well, it would be interesting to have kind of put you through some of these different potential possibilities too. And I think
Yeah.
it would help you. Basically, like you said, it takes like you sound like you know what you
What I'm talking
like.
about?
No need to eat. Yeah, like no, like yeah, you know what you're talking about. But it sounds like you have a good idea of nutritious foods. What you're saying is like you don't want to have to think about necessarily all of the meticulous portions and all these things. And if you had something that kind of guided you, it'd probably be helpful. So I think we'll have to get together on some of these little projects we're
Okay.
working on.
Sounds good.
What about? So I want to hear about your journey on social media. So this is what's cool. I thought that there are going to be people going through this journey that like I have a social media following. You've followed me, but like this needs to be much bigger than me, and we need to have our patients tell their story. And I think of those people, there's going to be a few that come out that are very charismatic, very funny, and they're going to get their own following. And that's what happened. You're one of them. So what's your journey like? Like you just started a TikTok, right? Like you were on there, but like you weren't a creator, right?
Yes, well, yes and no. I started about a year ago. And I started, you know what, I was 35 when I started my account. And I was just at this point in my life where I had 2 kids. I quit my job. I had a midlife crisis. And I've been married for 20, I've been with my husband for 20 years. And I decided just to share the things that I was going through.
Okay.
And I shared something and it went kind of viral. So I did have a little bit of a follow. I probably had
You
like
had a little bit of
50,000
follow.
followers
Okay, so that's not bad.
when
That's
I
okay. That's
first
pretty good.
went. But now I have over 100,000 and I just shared
Oh my
like
gosh.
my life.
Yeah, yeah, and you're funny too. So not everything's weight loss. So like some of the things that I actually don't consume too much on TikTok, but some your videos will pop up and I'll just crack up and I'm like, no wonder people follow you.
Great.
But like you're very charismatic and it's fun. So anybody's listening that doesn't follow you, what's your handle on TikTok?
Yeah, it's the THEE geriatric millennial.
That's a perfect name. It's just hilarious.
Thanks.
The geriatric millennial. How do you mind sharing how old are you? How old are you?
How old
Are
I
you?
am?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Are you allowed to
36.
You're 36. Okay.
Yep.
I just turned 39. So I feel like I'm a millennial too. I was 84, born
Yeah,
in
you are.
84.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's like teeter. I'm like teeter. It's like they're like, you're close to that generation. I'm like, I'm not generation next.
The geriatric millennial.
Yeah, I am literally the geriatric millennial. That's so cool. Yeah, you have a lot of funny stuff. Anything else about your experience? I mean, like you kind of shared the gist is that like gained weight later in life, but had some potential things there that really kind of accelerated it or were underlying there with the PCOS and Hashimoto's, and you have kids, and it was just like COVID. Anything else about your journey you want to share?
No, I just, I'm really thankful that these medications are being taken more seriously. I'm really thankful for the platform such as Sequence to offer people who are struggling. You don't need to be in the gym 7 days a week and eating 800 calories a day to lose weight. There are other options. And I'm just looking forward to the day where it's widely accepted by everybody. And there's not so much, judgment and blame.
Yeah, there'll be a day. It's probably the next 5 to 10 years. It will continue to get better. Oh, are you lifting weights again or working out?
I'm lifting weights, and listen, my goal for 2023 is to get a juicy butt because my butt totally went away. And I'm going to document my progress on TikTok.
I love it.
Yep.
Are you who you should? I mean, we have workout plans, I want I'll be excited to see. It's really, I think you can do it. Once you build the muscle back, because you probably, it's a lot of it's just adipose that you lose, and then you can build the muscle there, and you'll like it. I think you'll be very satisfied.
I'm going to be.
And I can give you some pointers too.
You're a doctor who lifts.
Yeah, but and I'm friends with a lot of the people that actually focus on glute training, so I can help there if needed. But thank you so much for coming on. I love it. You're such a fun person, great personality, and everybody follow Kailey at the Geriatric Millennial on TikTok, please.
Thank you.